Today is part 2 of our historical opioid journey. So many things happened back in the 19th century throughout the 1800s that affects us to this date. I love history, and so my mind has just been reeling all week, switching back from topic to topic because there's just so much to cover. Today, we're going to talk about 5 very prominent families that have made their fortune smuggling opium. One of the first men I want to talk about is John Jacob Astor. He was touted as the titan of trades. He had 2 fur companies. He had the American Fur and Pacific Fur Companies. China wasn't big on Western goods, so England and the United States provided them with opium. And they used the profits that they made from opium to purchase fabrics, pottery, and one of the main things was tea. Then they would take the profits they made from those, and resell them back in their countries. This allowed merchants to get around the big technical challenge. It was an international shortage of silver and the only currency that Chinese would accept. Opium was banned in China. However, the merchants worked around that, and Astor obtained a charter that permitted him to trade in any port monetized by the East India Company. He purchased 10 tons of Turkish opium, which was not as high quality as India opium. So they cut that, and that was, he shipped that into Canton in exchange and sold it for, he shipped it into Canton in exchange for goods that he would resell in the United States. That was his open door to get in and start smuggling. Actually, John Jacob Astor became a multi-millionaire smuggling opium into China. Another family is John Murray Forbes and Robert Bennett Forbes. The Forbes family lived in and traded in China, mainly due to the connection with the Perkins family. The British wanted to keep monopolizing on the supply of Chinese opium, and however, during that time, the Opium Wars prevented British cargo ships from coming in. So through John Jacob Astor, he still delivered the British cargo ships. He could sell the final miles and get to Canton. And he made a fortune bringing in the British opium. There was a dictionary of American biography reports that the noted American ship captain Robert Bennett Forbes played a prominent role in the outbreak of the Chinese Opium War. Another man that we will talk about is Samuel Wadsworth Russell. He founded Russell and Company, the most powerful American merchant house in China, for most of the second half of the 19th century. He landed in Canton in 1819 and quickly amassed a fortune in the opium trade. His mansion, now known as Samuel Wadsworth Russell House, still stands in Middleton, Connecticut. Russell's cousin and fellow opium trader, William Huntington Russell, was a co-founder and funder of Yale's University Skull and Bones Society. Another well-known individual is Warren Delano Jr. He is the grandfather of Franklin Delano Roosevelt. He first went to China at the age of 24 and spent a decade dealing dope on the Pearl River before returning to New York as a newly wealthy and very eligible bachelor. He admitted in his letters home that opium had an unhappy effect, but he argued that it was fair, honorable, and legitimate trades, and he also imported wine and spirits to America, so he smuggled more than just opium. Delano lost his fortune in the Great Panic of 1857, so he returned to China and rebuilt in supplying the U.S. military with opium to treat Union soldiers in the Civil War. He did not like to talk about this much. In fact, in the memoirs and all of the stories and about his adventurous career never mentions this at all. Lastly is Thomas Perkins. He traded slaves in Haiti before peddling furs to China and from the American Northwest, but he made his huge fortune smuggling Turkish opium into China. So, what is the one thing that all of these men have in common? No one wanted to admit that they made their fortunes as drug dealers smuggling opium. And that is all for part 2. Thank you.